Hey everyone, welcome back to Cool Woman Central podcast. I'm your host Sophia, and I am joined by my mom Allison, and we're talking about everything pop culture from a Gen Z and a Gen X perspective. So thank you for tuning in today. So I guess jumping right into it, it's summer, like officially.
We're, yeah, pretty much in the exact middle of summer,
Yes.
depending on which summer you follow.
Yeah, I guess it depends on like historically what summer you're on. Because for me, I always think about being in school. So for me, it was summer is from, beginning, middle of May to mid-August. That's
Well,
summer to me.
well, yeah. So that's school schedule summer. But
Yes,
there is apparently there's meteorological summer, which
yes,
these meteorologists use. They do that, they say, for easy record keeping purposes. So they look at the three warmest months. So they call
okay,
summer June, July, and August. And
okay,
then there's some astronomical summer, which changes per year, but it began this year on June 20th and it
okay.
will run until September 22nd.
Yeah, see, September is like that gray month for me. Like, I don't know how you feel, but for me, September is that gray month of it could be a summer September, or we're gonna go into fall, right? You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like it's those it's that like flex month where like is it gonna be another is it gonna
Well,
be more summer or is it gonna be fall?
for you,
For me. For you, it's always going to be
I,
summer,
right.
but
I am in the South and, we're just, I mean, Earth is melting, right? Mother
right,
Earth
right.
is very angry and she's having a complete meltdown right now.
There's a lot of things going on.
Yeah, so I just want to say
Always getting
if
the worst
you
of the weather.
if you remember back during our Christmas winter break, there were times when I was like, it's so cold. Oh my gosh, I cannot remember when
Yeah.
it was ever so cold. I am paying for that now. This is some kind of like seasonal karma that's coming back for all of my ranting about just the coldest that I'd ever been last.
And listen, I always say, and like this is, I'm always guilty of this every season, is like, I'm always like, it's so cold. It's so cold. It's so cold. And then we get to summer and I'm like, it's so hot. It's so hot. And I just literally like yearn for the cold. Like I yearn for the
Yeah.
fall. Fall is great. Fall is so short though, and the winters are so long up here. So honestly, I do yearn for winter. I'm just like, I just wit. Sometimes, like when I'm going to the gym, I'm just like, oh, I wish I could just put on like my workout set and a big wool coat and just truck it out the door.
Well, right now, I mean, I am in breaking out the linen season. I know you're not a linen girl,
I'm
but
not breaking out any linen, guys. I'm
you know,
going out and actually Adam Sandler fits, if anything.
so I'll have you know, I did steam the linen to make it less
Okay,
wrinkly for you because
thank
I
you.
know you
I
have issues
appreciate
with
it.
that. But again, the key for linen that makes it comfortable is you have to look at the label, right? And have to
Right.
look at the content label and make sure that it is absolutely 100% linen and not these blends that everybody's trying to cheat out there
I
because
will
those
say,
will make you hot.
with the linen, and I feel like this is just an important note for everybody out there that may be watching that may see this. If you were wearing white linen pants, I think you need to be a little wary and maybe a little bit cautious, even about what your undergarment choice may be, or even where your white linen pants are from. Look at the tag, like my mom just said. Look at the tag. Because there have been more than a few instances this summer where I have come across somebody who is wearing white linen pants and I see them from the front and it looks good, but then I see them from the back and I know what underwear they're wearing.
Yeah, well, okay. I'm not wearing any white linen pants or anything. Just
It's a very bold statement, but I'm just
yes,
saying it's
yeah.
very
Well, yeah.
it's been an
So
interesting summer in that department, I will
okay,
tell you.
okay. Well, I definitely will not be guilty of that. You know, I am definitely, my khaki linens and my SPF shirts. I'm gonna wear it. I don't care how unstylish they are, and I look like I'm going out on the ocean, but I'm gonna wear my SPF protection shirt during this season.
I always make fun of you for the SPF shirt, but then like I don't know, I feel like I don't have room to make fun of you because I am in like full Adam Sandler-esque fits in the summer. It's been a lot of the only pair of like pants that I can really stomach is like my 501s men jeans that like I like sometimes can put on if it's not hot. But other than that, I've been rocking I've loved like I have a bunch of like vintage Adidas gym shorts, basketball shorts. I've been rocking those with, you know, white t-shirt, tank top, whatever. That's just been my look. It definitely has not been the most fashionable summer for me, I will say. I'm just,
Well, yeah, it's okay. I think everyone's forgiven when it's 110 outside.
it's just
But
too hot
yeah,
sometimes, and I'm just like, I need to be able to breathe.
but speaking of summer and being in the middle of summer, it's almost the end of summer here for the school season summer, if that's the summer you're going on. So I'm kind of entering my annual late July anxiety period, even though I have no school supplies now to buy or any schedule or whatever, but like it's just like back to school season now everywhere because here school starts on August 6th, which is crazy. There's if you go in the
Right.
store, there's no more summer merch sections. It's all
No, it's
back to
all
school.
school.
But I'm going to embrace astronomical summer.
Yes.
So, my announcement really to the universe is there's just still plenty of time to enjoy the season, even if you have to focus on indoor things. So, yeah, I think that's
There's
where my
joy in it.
focus is. Absolutely. So I know we had previously in another podcast focused on some fashion sort of exhibits, but that's one thing that I kind of gathered to give some inspiration for things to do inside during this hot season as
Right.
we as we go into fall, and just there's plenty of time to still get out and travel and do things.
Plenty of time to soak in the hot air and UV rays that you
Yes,
can.
yes.
So, but you know,
Yeah. Well, but speaking of that, so I wanted to highlight a few of those and really, kind of talk about some of those. One though that it is running out of time because it only runs through August 23rd. And I'd hoped that I would get there, but I don't know that I'm going to get there. Is SCAD has an exhibit. SCAD is the Savannah College of Art and Design, and this is at the Atlanta campus, not the, I think, probably better known Savannah campus. They have an exhibit called Dior Crafting Fashion, and it's at the SCAD Fashion Museum of Fashion and Film. And I think that just looks so interesting. It's really the first presentation of the House of Dior in the southeastern US,
right.
and it includes creations and designs from Christian Dior all the way through this current period with Jonathan Anderson. So it just looks super interesting. If anybody is in the Atlanta area, I would really love checking that out and encourage you to do that. It has a set design that explores like the creative process. So they have like drawing boards and workshops and how to accessorize, to catwalks. So it's just looks
Right.
really super interesting. So Atlanta area visitors, go check that out.
If you're in that area, even 2 hour, 4 hour drive, make it a day trip.
Yes, absolutely. It is like, in Midtown Atlanta, so there are a lot of other great things around there to do. So definitely a fun way to cool off. All right, but the other one, and I know we've probably talked about this one before, but they're at the Brooklyn Museum. I've seen so many people going to this, and this is the one that you and I are going to try to hit in the fall.
Yes,
It's Iris Van Herpen exhibit called Sculpting the Senses.
yes.
And that is at, like I said, the Brooklyn Museum. It goes through December 6th, but that is so fascinating because she is known really for her wearable sculptures, and they really blend like traditional craftsmanship with this like innovative technology. I think she was one of the first designers to like use 3D printing like in her couture work. So it's really really interesting, just the shapes and the styles and the movement, truly sculpture and artwork. And I know a lot of her work is inspired by fields like physics and dance and marine biology, and you see that all on display. So it's just, I think that would be a really cool outing for us to hit. We'll be a little past summer when we hit that, but
A little past summer, but you guys will definitely hear about it if we are able to hit
yes.
it. But going from that, another exhibition that I'm really hoping to hit, honestly, because I'll tell you guys a little bit about it. So there is a doll dressing exhibit. It is opening September 16th. It is at the museum at Vet. So if you're in the area, definitely please check it out. Like I said, it opens September 16th, 2026. So it's basically talking about the history of like fashion dolls and their influence on high fashion. So anything from Mason Margiela, Marc Jacobs, Patrick Kelly, Loewe, Louis Vuitton, like all of those brands, just everything, and even talking about Barbie and everything like that. And why this is so special to me is I love anything like this. I love toys. I love dolls even. So it's just like, I don't know, for me, I totally want to check this out.
So that is not opening until that actually opens in September.
Yes.
So that would probably still be running when we take our trip as well. Now
Yes,
another,
just trying to honestly just trying to surveillance what's coming up. I did see it pop up and I was like, I feel like this is worth noting. And I don't know, as somebody, like I said, that really loves toys and dolls and things like that, this is totally up my alley.
oh, yeah, that sounds really cool. Now, of course, the Met, they are still running their the Costume Institute. Their spring 2026 exhibit is still running.
Right.
Um, and I'm not sure how long that runs. I think it runs through the winter, doesn't it? I mean, it usually runs for a pretty extended amount of time.
They usually run it until almost until the next Met Gala. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah.
So probably a little give or take there with time, but definitely you still have time to check it out well into the fall even.
Yeah. So I guess if the Met was on your list of places to hit, you would probably check that out. I know it's really grouped basically by body types, but
Right.
it's I have feelings about the Met in general, so I don't know that we'll hit that one, but
It's a
yeah.
little bit confusing in there, guys. But,
Yeah.
on that note, at the Museum of Science and Industry in Chicago, Paul Taswell is exhibiting his costume design, which I love Paul Taswell. If you don't know, he has won an Oscar for Wicked costume design, which I loved Wicked, but he's also like his actual exhibit covers not only Wicked, but like Broadway's Hamilton, which as somebody that loves Hamilton and got my mom on to Hamilton and dad, notoriously the Schuyler sisters gowns. I feel like that's super iconic. for us. Things like that, it's super popular. It's running through September 7th. I'm really hoping to get to Chicago before then, because this would be something that I would really want to see, especially like, I don't know, I love that he won for Wicked. I watch the Oscars every year, so for me, that's super important. But I'm really hoping to get Chicago before this ends because I would
Where
just
where is that showing? Where in?
Museum of Science and Industry.
Okay. Okay.
So I'm hoping maybe I can figure it out. Maybe I get a little time to squeeze it in. Especially, I love the Wicked stuff, but my true, star that I'm going to see would probably be the Schuyler sisters dresses because those are like so iconic.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Well, for those who are traveling to England, mostly, I believe, is where most of the other exhibits are that we found that were fashion oriented.
Right.
There is that Schiaparelli exhibit, and it's called Fashion Becomes Art, and that is at the Victoria and Albert Museum in London. I think we talked about that probably in a previous episode as well. That exhibit is just amazing and well worth your time. So that would be one to definitely explore. And then other one that is taking place is a Vivian Westwood. It's called Vivian Westwood, Rebel, Storyteller, and Visionary. That just runs through September 6th. It's at the Bose Museum, which is in, I think, Barnard Castle or someplace like that. It's an exhibit that's put together by private collectors. So I think that that has a really interesting twist to it to think that they have pulled together for that. I haven't seen a lot of content from it, but I think that would really be interesting to take a look at if you can do that.
Definitely. I think Vivian Westwood is so iconic and like on that note of being so iconic with the exhibits is Queen Elizabeth. There is also a Queen Elizabeth her life in style exhibit that's happening at the King's Gallery, Buckingham Palace. So little bouge, but it opened in April and it is still running until October 18th. So still have a bit of time to get over there. I don't know if we'll be getting over there. Maybe if I can peer pressure my mom. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, I can't foresee that in the next couple of months,
Yeah, I don't know if he'll be over
but
there, but I think it is still something really interesting to check out. We'll include the link for you guys just to see what's kind of included, also ticket prices, things like that. But I mean, it seems to be really interesting. You see things that were, made for her, worn by her. I think it's an interesting way to insert yourself in history, especially if you're maybe not super into history. You know what I mean?
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, very cool.
So,
Well,
with that, you know, I guess moving from exhibits and then going on to other real world things. So, Vogue Summer School has been happening for a few weeks now. I don't know if you've seen any of the discourse that has happened with this, but it's been pretty interesting. It's basically like a 2 week courses are offered in four separate terms. So, this started back in June and is running into July. Forgive me if I'm mistaken, but I think it's until the end of July, basically.
yeah,
So
I
it's
think that's right.
rising high school students and graduating seniors, everything like that. It's a little bit pricey, I will say, to endure this 2 week course. What do you think, Mom? What's your take on this
So
price?
I haven't seen any coverage from it. I
Okay,
mean, yeah, I mean, definitely, I think this is definitely one of those bougie kid summer camp
right.
experiences, right? In terms of looking at the cost for 2 weeks, but um, I think definitely it's wonderful opportunity for those who have access and have a chance to check something like that out. But I have not seen any coverage from it, which is odd that it wouldn't pop up for me.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I've gotten a lot of coverage for it. I feel like this is something that pops up every summer. I always get at least for the last 5 years, I've gotten the it's Vogue Summer School time pop up on my
Yeah.
timeline. So I've always kind of gotten the like juiciness of it. This year has been interesting because I've gotten like usually in past years I've only gotten one side of it, but this year I've gotten okay, this term, and now like we're on the last term, so I'm kind of seeing the last term and what they're doing. And I think it's really interesting because for, almost 8 grand, you're staying there for this course. And I think it's really interesting. Needless to say, I think some people have been pretty angry. These people
Who's
can't dress.
angry? Who's
I,
angry? People who are critiquing the students?
I would say people
Or
who are critiquing the students in a way, being like, "Oh, they can't dress. Like, what do you mean you're going to Vogue Fashion School and you know
uh,
you can't like I don't like your outfits from Amazon and whatever." But like I to that I just say like a lot of these kids like they're young adults are going into college or they're still in high school. Like I think you have room to experiment, and like that's the age that you can experiment.
right.
So like yeah, they're buying fast fashion. Yeah, they're buying from all these cheap brands. And they're put in a city like New York where you have not only all these expensive brands, but you have the less expensive brands accessible.
Hmm.
So I'm like, let's just give them some grace. So I don't know. For me, I love seeing the Vogue school kids because like I just feel like I don't know. I even if I don't love what they're wearing, I still will draw inspo. Sometimes like they're so excited. They're so fresh, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Some of
I
them
mean,
returned back to New York, so it's super fun to see that.
yeah, yeah. People don't need to be mean. There's too many bullies out in the world. What did they learn at Vogue Summer School? Do we know?
So I think you can take a few courses. I know there's like a business course and like a styling course, which I think
Okay.
is really interesting. I'm sure there's a few other things that I'm missing there, but I know like the big ones for me that I have seen have been the business and the
Yeah.
styling. So that's really interesting.
Yeah.
And I think it's like a
I
fashion summer camp, and I think
yeah.
people are too hard on that because I mean it's giving them the
Well,
opportunity to live in a different city and try new things.
I think also, my perspective on that is that I don't know. I mean, let's look at fashion designers, right? I mean,
Right.
how many fashion designers do we see that, run a show and they come out and they might be in jeans and a t-shirt, you know? I mean,
Right.
they are the artist creating, and it doesn't mean that they have to necessarily wear the work. I'm just saying from the artistic perspective, and and that community, um, you
I
know,
think
as a creator, right?
I think people get too sucked into well, you're going to Vogue fashion school, like you should be the most fashionable person wearing the most expensive thing. And I think that's where people get mixed up with fashion and thinking that fashion is going to be the most expensive thing. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like
yeah,
for me, that's in my brain. It's like, okay, well, I feel like sometimes even if I'm wearing a cheaper shirt, if I'm wearing a little nicer sweater over top, I feel like it might look better, right?
yeah.
So I just feel
It's
like there's a disconnect there a little bit.
yeah, style and finding your voice are
Right. I see people that have
different from
great
having,
style.
yeah. And but you don't always have to have a huge budget for that.
Right, you don't have to have a huge budget for that. My thing is I shop a lot of secondhand, so sometimes you might get something secondhand and you're like, "Whoa, this is totally the wrong item." Whatever. But you know what? You didn't pay retail price for it.
Hmm.
So I think there's room to give some of these young adults, kids grace in terms of what they're putting on, what they're styling, things like that. Because, like, even as a young adult myself, I'm still trying to figure out what is my style, what fits into that gray area for people. So I think that's really important, especially for young people finding their way. Let them figure out their style. It might not always hit, but at some point it will.
Yeah, absolutely. So, well, I think that's a great segue into the other thing that I've been tracking, which I have just been fascinated with, and kind of other fashion related news. So it was a couple of months ago. I just haven't had a chance to talk about this, like, but there was an article, I think it was AP News probably put it out, that was really talking about this nationwide shortage of tailors
Right.
and how those who are like our current generation of tailors are all aging out of the workforce, and there are not enough like skilled workers that are coming in to take their place. And I believe I think the numbers were like there's like 17,000 tailors, custom sewers, and dressmakers that are working in business establishments nationwide. And that's a 30% decline from a decade earlier, which that's a huge number. But the crazy thing is that right now, because of those numbers going down, there's like a really high demand right now for tailors. So that is, aging out. And then this boom, they're saying what's driving that? This boom kind of in like online thrifting, which you were talking
Right.
about, and people holding on to their items and tailoring their items. And the other thing that was also cited, which was interesting, was like the high use of weight loss drugs. They're really creating um, a need for people to alter their wardrobes. So
Right.
all of those things are really driving that need. Now, I did see in the AP article, they did point out that, like the Fashion Institute, they did train a cohort of like 15 students, but they trained them specifically for Nordstrom.
Okay.
So, over the course, like a shorter, like certification sort of period. So,
Well,
they
well,
haven't said if they're going to continue that, though.
we might see that as a trend between like brands and big companies where it's like we're going to train you in, what we need in those ways. Going back to those skill training ways, which I think are important. I mean, as somebody that uses their tailor a lot, but then has also taught themselves to do a lot of sewing, I think it's an important skill that is 100% getting lost in the sauce, if you may say.
Yeah.
But it's coming back, it seems.
Well, and you did a summer sewing camp once.
Yes. I mean, that's where I'm saying, like, for me, like, doing something like that in those formative years of, okay, well, go to this, 2 week, 1 week long camp, learn how to sew and do the basic stitches. I mean, that gets you pretty far, I will say. Like, I mean, I know how to do basic stitches. I've taught myself how to do some other things when it comes to embroidery and things like that. But, like, basic stitches get you a far way, especially when it comes to nowadays where finding a tailor might be a little bit harder. I'm fortunate enough to have a tailor that I love so much, but when it comes to like the quick fixes, I think it's very important to be able to do a quick cross stitch and things like that.
Well, I did come across, and I say I came across this, it was new to me, but it's been around since 2014. This place called the New York Sewing Center,
Okay.
and it's basically a sewing school.
Right.
And she also offers like space for people to go and work and have,
Like just working space where they can
right,
just use a
working
sewing
space and
machine and stuff like that.
yes, and
Okay.
do use like a workroom and stuff. But she offers like a sewing boot camp, which is really interesting. Like learn to sew in a day. So
Okay.
you're gonna go in, and I think you get to choose like, I don't know, like shorts or pants or a top or some or a skirt. I don't know. It's like three or four commercial patterns, and you take that pattern, and by the end of the day, you leave with that item made for
Right.
you.
Okay.
So, which is super interesting, and it sounds like it's very successful. I think she also offers like a sewing 101. So, just watching the growth though, I know now, I believe they have several locations, And that tells you that that's an in-demand skill. I'm curious to look around, which I haven't had time to see if there are other things like that popping up in other cities.
Right. And I mean, I think, like I said, I think it's in very admirable, but also very, useful skill in a way of, okay, well, I'm going to take this course to learn how to sew. I mean, like I said, just knowing how to sew on my own has been super helpful because if I need a quick fix with anything outfit
Hmm.
related, most of the time I'm just able to take a needle and thread, which if you know how to sew, you always keep it on standby because if you need it, but taking a needle and thread and being able to do a quick fix, I think is super important. And it's super, especially everything's so expensive nowadays. If you're able to just fix it on your own, I think it's the best of both worlds.
But yeah, so I wanted to highlight that business because it feels very relevant with all of this other news I think that's been out. And I'm sure there are probably online sources as well for people to learn some of those basic stitches. I
Right.
wonder,
I mean,
I haven't even looked to see if there's like even a TikTok account, you know? Seems
I
like there's
haven't looked
something that teaches everybody.
to see if there's a TikTok account, but I do know that this beautiful thing called WikiHow exists. And so if you go on WikiHow and look up how to do literally anything, I'm sure it can
Yeah.
delve into a documented way. And even then, if that's not enough for you, I highly recommend going onto TikTok. I use TikTok as a resource for anything, whether it be food, crafts, movies, whatever. Use it as a resource, especially if it's available to you. So I think that's super important.
Oh my gosh, yeah. So, yeah, so those were the things that I had to highlight this time.
Well, on that, do we have anything else for this episode? I think we might be out of time.
Yeah, I think we are. So I think we are out of time, but I'm really curious to look up some of these exhibits, to look into
Right.
those, or to see if other people post about it, going to any of those shows.
Gonna see if there's any of these shows that we can make. I know we said we can make one of them, but I'm like, maybe we can
Yeah.
make two of them.
Yeah.
So I guess we'll see. But for right now, we are out of time. You can find us on Cool Woman Central on TikTok, though. If you are feeling like you need a little bit more, you can also message us there for any topics, anything you want to hear about, anything you want to discuss. You can also drop us an email at coolwomancentral@gmail.com. Stay cool, stay inspired, make sure you stay updated, and we will see you next time. Bye.